Welcome, my favorite federal employee. I'm Andrew McNair, son of a proud CSRS employee and founder of SWAN Capital. Tonight, we're cutting through all the noise on the government shutdown, all the spin that you're hearing on the news. And we're going to talk about what keeps running, what pauses, and what to double check when your pay finally resumes. We'll also leave you with calm, current, actionable steps so that you can sleep well at night during this government shutdown. I know that sounds like a lofty goal, but we're going to unpack the things that you need to know as we progress through another day of the government shutdown. This may be your first government shutdown as a federal employee, or you have maybe had a string of these over your career and you feel like a veteran along being furloughed in government shutdowns. And I want to first apologize as the American people that we all deserve better. We deserve better from our politicians. They should be able to get together on both sides of the aisle and be able to make sure that the federal government continues to run, because we're all paying taxes as if it should all run. And so I apologize, and the politicians truly owe us all an apology for how badly they've ran the government. And again, I think both aisles are guilty to a certain extent, because we shouldn't be running it on the government credit card, honestly. But that's for a different day, not to get political at all. So, couple quick disclosures. Again, this is just general advice to you. This is not personal advice for you and your family. And how could it be? We're not having a one-on-one conversation. I would love to have one of those at some point, but this is important to understand. We're not giving you any tax or legal advice. And also, we're not the federal government. So we are a financial wealth management firm that specializes in working with federal employees. A little bit about me. My dad was a federal employee and is now a retired CSRS employee, and I have two shows, What Your Money Would Say, and that's a TV and radio show where we talk about retirement topics every day. I wrote a couple of books, and you can check all of that out at a different time. But today is about you and the situation that you're going through and your family's uncertainty about these times. And so I want to jump right in and talk about that. So our agenda for today is we're going to talk about FEHB, we're going to talk about FEGLI, we're going to talk about your pension, we'll talk about TSP. That's our plan for today's webinar. With FEHB, it's important to understand that your coverage stays active during a lapse. So I encourage you, I implore you to keep your doctor's appointments, keep those surgeries scheduled. This is no time to put your health on the back burner, especially while you're stressed out and maybe have anxiety about the government shutdown. It's important to keep your appointments. Claims will still be processed. Because payroll is paused, your premiums will be caught up later, and expect a large withholding when pay resumes. With FedVIP, watch for carrier notices. If payroll can't withhold, they'll direct bills so coverage doesn't skip a beat. So bottom line, don't cancel care, don't reschedule your appointments, just plan for that catch up. Make sure that your health is prioritized above all else. Again, you can't buy back your health with money. Now, what if the worst was to happen? Well, you still have FEGLI coverage. Your family is still covered. If you still have young kids, you have a spouse at home, your spouse is covered. God forbid something were to happen to you during a shutdown. I always understand that death does not wait for an expansion. It happens in recessions and depressions. It happens during government shutdowns. But remember that FEGLI coverage continues for up to 12 months while you're in a non-pay status at no cost. You'll also have a 31-day free extension if coverage were to end, plus a right to convert. If the unthinkable happened during that lapse, claims are still adjudicated through FEGLI. So practical step is you have no action needed to take. You don't need to change anything. Just keep your beneficiaries current. This may be a good time while you have some time to go check your beneficiaries and make sure that you have a primary and a contingent listed with per stirpes, which is Latin by the blood, to go to the lineal descendants. What about FERS? If you're already on the retirement roll and you're thinking, what about my federal pension? Well, your monthly pension continues regardless, because it's coming from the Silver Retirement and Disability Fund, not annual appropriations. You're not going to lose your pension. If you just filed and you're in that interim status, maybe you filed for DRP, you should expect processing friction. You should expect some delays. It's going to take them some time. And this is why we encourage families to have a 3 3 to 6 month emergency fund that's set aside. You always want to have a cash cushion that's put aside for job loss, for a government shutdown, a furlough. You want to make sure that there's money set aside if there's ever a decrease in income for your family. And again, I know you might be saying, well, that's great. I should have done that years ago, Andrew, but today I don't have that built up. Well, what I would encourage you to do is make sure that you're putting off any major renovations, any large expenses. If you can push those off for a few weeks or months, I encourage you to do so. Now you might be asking, but what about my TSP? Well, the good news is your TSP site is still up and running. Transactions remain live. Why? Because TSP is ran by BlackRock. TSP is not managed by the federal government. It is only facilitated by BlackRock. So you can still review allocations and request allowed transactions. Of course, there's going to be potentially some slowdowns because people may be taking money from TSP, which causes even more additional wait times. Expect some pauses if you are trying to get a distribution out. It may, instead of take 2 weeks, it might take 3 weeks. Now, what about my pay? What about my contributions? What pauses is anything tied to payroll? Your contributions, first off, the 1% automatic match and the whole entire match. That's going to be put on pause for now. Now, when back pay is authorized, agencies will send makeup contributions with as of dates. The record keeper applies breakage. That's the gain or loss that would have occurred if those dollars hit on time. So you're going to be made whole per the rules. Now, it's important to understand if you have one of those TSP loans that you're in a repayment status. If you're a loan holder of a TSP loan, you need to log in and monitor your loan status once pay restarts. The goal really is simple with your TSP loan. You want to avoid any delinquency or unintended taxable distributions. That would be really potentially fatal to someone's financial plan. So we want to avoid that. If something looks off, call your agency payroll, speak to them about your payroll first, then the thrift line. Now, I do want to talk about some rapid fire questions. You might be already thinking, well, what about open season? Well, open season is still going to run. Yes, these plans operate via a trust fund, not annual appropriations. So open season, be considering your benefit decisions and what changes you might want to make. Now you might be thinking, what happens if I drop FEHB to maybe save some cash during a lapse? Generally, that's not a good idea. Outside open enrollment or a qualifying event, cancellations aren't permitted just because of a shutdown, a government shutdown. Premiums accrue and then they are recouped later. And I would not want to lose my health coverage during a situation like this. That's where I'm actually more likely to probably have a health situation. What about timing risk in the TSP? You are missing your usual every other week buys during the lapse, but makeup contributions with breakage are designed to restore you to be whole as much as possible and what would have happened if you were still contributing. But it's important to still verify your records after restart. Don't take anything for granted. Always trust and verify. So here's a quick post-shutdown checklist. First, check your 2 pay stubs. When those start rolling in, I want you to check those pay stubs for accuracy. Second, log into TSP under My Account and confirm makeup contributions were posted with the right as of dates. And if a pay period is missing, contact payroll, then contact TSP. Third, if you're a brand new retiree, it's important to keep extra cash handy until your case is fully adjudicated and handled. Interim pay is normal, but final pay will take some time during a government shutdown because there's such an avalanche of applications, especially with the DRP. Now, let's have some application to this situation. I want you to understand that you're more protected than the headlines might make it seem. Again, they sell news. If it bleeds, it leads. And if you have to, for your own mental health, go behind the TV and pull that out. You're probably more informed than you need to be. So I would tell you that health coverage continues. FEGLI continues. Your retiree annuity payment continues. TSP is still running and makeups are going to be built into the rules. If you want eyes on your specific timeline, you want to talk about your retirement date, maybe you want to make some changes because of this government shutdown. Maybe you're going to be sadly let go during the shutdown. Maybe you want to talk about your TSP allocations. Maybe you want to discuss survivor benefits for your spouse, or maybe create a tax map for your Roth conversions out of TSP. I encourage you to book a one-on-one visit with my team of financial planners and myself. We'll pressure test your current financial plan if you have one and help you make decisions about your federal benefits so that you can sleep well at night during this shutdown and what lies ahead for you in your retirement. Again, this is a complimentary visit. We sit down with you, your TSP, your LES, we sit down with your Social Security estimate, and we create this personalized federal benefit report that we give you a copy of to make sure that you have all of your benefits mapped out so you can make an educated decision. And it's a complimentary visit. Why do we do that? Because my father was in the same shoes you were, going through these government shutdowns. And when he retired, I wanted to make sure that his benefits were mapped out, and you should too. And so I encourage you to take this up, this complimentary 1-hour visit with one of my financial planners. And again, if you want to hire us, we'll talk about financial planning fees and charging a one-time financial planning fee, but that's a conversation for a different day. You get 2 complimentary 1-hour visits with our financial planners or myself to make sure that you and your family are heading in the right direction for retirement. So click the link below, or you can call 1-800-848-8768 or shoot us an email. Again, I hope you have a blessed week, and we'll see you soon.